Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Raffles Crew prequel. Prequel because we're going to introduce you to one of our wonderful speakers, our lead speaker, at SFF on June the 23rd at KOTU, the center of the universe. If you haven't signed up for it, I suggest you come because the tickets are being sold fast. So that event is all about how to conduct yourself in front of the media, whether you're setting up a new company, talking about the results of the company you work for, or simply presenting yourself in an interview, you need to know how to plan and conduct discussions so that you come off positive and strong. And Mark has a long and storied career in the media, both in Australia and in Singapore, first of all in radio and then in TV. And if I get this wrong, Mark, I'm sure you'll be able to improve my version. But I've known you now for quite a few years, and you are a wonderful mentor in terms of media training. Hongban Media, your company trains thousands and thousands of executives of all levels how to conduct themselves in front of a microphone and a camera. So it's an absolutely enormous pleasure to welcome you to this Raffles Crew discussion.
Thank you, Simon. It's a pleasure to be here.
And before we leap in, I'm going to keep this brief. I'm going to just say a few words about the Raffles Crew itself. We set up about a year ago. We've got several hundred members now around the region. As you can see from the top of the screen, we care for ourselves, we care for our careers, and we care for our planet. What does that mean? It means if you're between things or if you're stressed, we help you, we listen, we lean in, we support you. And if you have career challenges, and heaven knows careers are difficult these days, there's so many things to learn about. We provide curated content to help you through that, which is kind of why we're here today. And care for our planet. Sensible stuff that you can do to look after the environment better. And I'm not saying glue yourself to a Van Hoff. I'm saying do what I just did and cycle 15 kilometers on your little yellow e-bike. And that's by way of explaining why this rather strange pink color, because it's Singapore and it's very hot. So the Raffles Crew in colloquio gaudium, which in Latin means in conversation we find joy. And indeed, we do find joy in conversation. I particularly find joy when I'm talking to Mark Laudi. I'm going to say a couple more things about the Raffles Crew. We have coffees in Singapore and KL. Friday, that's tomorrow, if you happen to be in Singapore. We have a coffee. We expect typically 20 to 30 people at Providor. We have regular networking events. These typically attract a lot of interest. The next one, SFF, is going to be wonderful on the 23rd of June. Did I mention that? And we have a whole lot of curated panels. So on the 23rd of June, Seekers, Founders and Funders, we're going to have some fashionistas there wearing a whole range of really colorful clothing, because as you can probably tell from my shirt, I love colorful clothing, and we are nothing if we're not positive. We are grateful and we are positive. But our keynote speaker at this event, where you learn about how to communicate, is Mark Laudi. And Mark Laudi is going to talk to us about stage fright to stage might. Why are some people comfortable speaking on stage or on camera while others struggle? Well, in 40 minutes, if you sign up, you can learn. And I'm going to invite Mark to explain all about his session on the 23rd.
Thank you, Simon. What a wonderful introduction, and I'm looking forward to the event. Not least because the topic that we've chosen obviously resonates with so many people. There are obviously some people who seemingly never have any stage fright. You know, they bounce on stage and throw their arms open and here I am. You know, they generally have a great time speaking to audiences large and small. But then there is everybody else. And yet it is something that you can beat. And the secret to that lies not in whether or not you have certain skills. It does not lie in whether or not you apply certain techniques. It all has to do with how you're wired. Because, you know, Simon, one of the famous pieces of advice is smile, relax, take a deep breath, just be yourself. When actually, just being yourself is just the problem. So we're going to figure out what it is about people's personalities that gives rise to stage fright and how you can beat it.
That's totally brilliant. Well, for those of you who are listening, I'm going to put up a QR code in a minute, because I strongly suggest that you book your ticket for this event on the 23rd of June at the center of the universe, which is at Capita Green. It's a wonderful, wonderful room called the Whisper Room. And you have a choice of 3 workshops. Our lead workshop, led by Mark Laudi, from Stage Fright to Stage Might. You can click on the QR link, plan which workshop you want to attend. Come along, you get a free drink, and you meet lots of colorful people. So, Mark, what will people take away from your 40-minute session on the 23rd?
Well, first and foremost, the understanding that stage fright can be beaten. You know, in the ordinary course of business, I meet many of those business leaders who you've referred to already in your introduction. They're very senior. They often have thousands of people reporting to them. And yet, when it comes to presenting the quarterly town hall meeting or creating some sort of show around a product launch, announcing earnings to the stock market, or perhaps just giving a conference keynote, they suffer many of the same nerves as everybody else does. However, this is another important insight. Not everybody suffers the same form of stage fright. This idea that somehow there is some nervousness, which is kind of nebulous and indefinable, is actually not true. And what you then find is, and one of the takeaways for you is that if you do have that nervousness on stage, that there are, firstly, 12 different forms of stage fright. And unless you know which ones you have, you're probably not going to be able to solve them. But conversely, once you've identified where your stage fright comes from, then it is entirely solvable. Because once you know what the cause is, then you can work towards a solution that works for you individually. And by the end of the session, you'll walk out with the ability to solve your stage fright, with at least the insight for how you're going to do it. And no matter how long you've been in your career, you'll be able to say, I can beat this and I can feel good about presentations.
I can hardly wait. I can hardly wait for the 23rd of June. Come to Kotu. It's a wonderful, wonderful room. You're going to listen to a wonderful, wonderful speaker. You're going to get a nice drink, and you're going to go away being much more confident to express yourself in business or other situations. So thank you, Mark Laudi. It's great always to talk to you. You've probably gathered, those listening here, that Mark or I don't necessarily suffer from enormous problems with stage fright. So we're told, but many do. And
Yes.
we look forward to seeing you on the 23rd. I'll take down the QR code. Do click on it. Do go there. Do express your preference. Mark, bless you. I know that you've got a super busy day because your media training business, Hongban Media, is incredibly successful. So go forth and teach, and I'll see you on the 23rd, if not before.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you, Mark.